Peppa and George are inside the house. Peppa holds a sheet of blue paper. Carefully, she folds the paper into the shape of an airplane. Beep, beep, beep! Peppa makes the sound of a plane taking off. Peppa gives the paper plane to George. George smiles widely. He holds the plane and runs around the room. Whoosh, whoosh! George makes the sound of the plane flying in the air. Peppa claps her hands to cheer on her little brother. George runs near the window. He throws the plane. The plane flies out the window, loops around once, and lands on the green grass in the garden. Peppa and George watch in surprise. Peppa and George run outside into the garden together. They look everywhere for the paper plane. Hooray! Hooray! George shouts when he finds the plane on the lawn. They both pick it up and run back inside the house, laughing happily. It was a bright, breezy morning in Peppa's backyard. As Peppa wandered around, she spotted a colorful umbrella lying forgotten in the corner of the garden. Peppa curiously picked it up, wondering what fun she could have with it. Suddenly, a big gust of wind blew. The umbrella opened wide, lifting Peppa off the ground. She squealed in surprise. Up in the sky, Peppa floated and twirled like a pink bird with a rainbow wing. The wind carried her over the yard, spinning in circles, dipping and soaring. Down below, Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig, and George gasped, then burst into laughter as they watched Peppa's unexpected flight show. The wind slowed down, and Peppa landed gently on the soft grass. Her family rushed over as Peppa waved with a big smile. It's a beautiful day, and Peppa and George go to the park with Daddy Pig, bringing along their colorful new kite. Daddy Pig excitedly runs as fast as he can to make the kite fly high. But Daddy Pig suddenly trips over a rock. The kite still soars up high, but then gets stuck on the statue's ear in the park. Peppa and George look up, both surprised and giggling. A strong gust of wind blows through, pulling the kite down and covering Daddy Pig's head. He stumbles around blindly, while Peppa and George burst into fits of giggles. What was supposed to be a simple trip to the park turns into an unexpected comedy show. The wind blows stronger, making the kite slip right out of Daddy Pig's hand and swirl around in the sky. Peppa and George run after it, giggling and reaching up to catch it. Daddy Pig hurries along too, but quickly becomes out of breath. Peppa and George are playing with a balloon in the park. A strong gust of wind blows the balloon up into the sky. Peppa looks up at the balloon, startled. George points at the sky, following the balloon with his eyes. Peppa and Daddy Pig start running after the balloon, trying to keep up as it flies higher. Peppa and Daddy Pig run across the grassy field, their legs moving quickly. George runs behind, watching the balloon and smiling. Peppa and Daddy Pig spot the balloon caught in a tree branch. Peppa points at the tree, excited to see the balloon. Daddy Pig uses a long stick to try and reach the balloon from the tree. Peppa hops around happily. Peppa and Daddy Pig are happy to have rescued the balloon. Peppa holds the balloon in her hands, smiling. George jumps up joyfully. The pig family sits down together and continues to play in the park. The pig family arrives at a farm to try being farmers for the day. We're going to be farmers and take care of the plants, Peppa says. Everyone gets ready to start working on the farm. Peppa and George start watering the plants. I'm going to water the plants so they can grow big and strong, Peppa says. George helps his sister by watering around the garden. Peppa and George begin to pick ripe tomatoes from the garden. Look, our tomatoes are ready, Peppa says. The pig family continues to pick vegetables and put them in their baskets. After a hard day's work on the farm, the pig family sits down to enjoy the vegetables they just picked. We can eat what we've grown with our own hands, Daddy Pig says. Everyone enjoys a meal and feels proud of their hard work. After a hard day's work, The pig family sits down to rest. Being a farmer is fun, but I like playing more, Peppa says. Daddy Pig laughs and says, helping on the farm is good, but playing is fun too. The whole family laughs and feels proud of their work. Today, Peppa and George have found an old car tire in the garden. It's round and shiny black, looking rather mysterious. Peppa has an idea. Let's roll it. So, the two begin pushing the tire around the garden, giggling as it wobbles along. But, oh dear, the tire suddenly rolls away, right down the little slope outside. Peppa and George gasp and chase after it. Their tiny feet scramble as fast as they can, dust flying everywhere, while the tire rolls faster and faster and faster. The tire bounces straight into the vegetable patch. Thump! A carrot shoots into the air. Whoosh! Lettuces tumble all over the ground. Daddy Pig, who was watering the plants, looks up in surprise. He rubs his eyes in disbelief. A naughty tire is wrecking the whole garden. Daddy Pig hurries over, ready to scold them. But when he sees Peppa and George laughing loudly in the puddle, he can't help but laugh too. Mud sprays everywhere. Their clothes are filthy. But everyone is happy. For Peppa and George, even an old car tire can turn into the best game ever. One morning, George wakes up and looks around his room. Toys are scattered all over the floor. Books lie in a messy pile on the desk. And the blanket and pillows are all over the bed. George puts, he hands on, he hips, sighs, but decides he will turn her messy room into a tidy, cozy place. George starts picking up each toy, sorting them by shape and color, then placing them into different boxes. One for cars, one for stuffed animals, and one for building blocks. Each time George closes a lid, George stacks the boxes neatly against the wall. George folds his blanket carefully, smoothing out each corner. While folding, a big teddy bear hidden inside the blanket falls to the floor. George giggles, hugs the bear for a moment, then places it neatly at the head of the bed, right next to her favorite pillow. After dusting the desk and arranging the books in order, George steps back to look at the whole room. Everything is clean and tidy, the floor is clear and shiny. George lies down on the bed, opens a picture book, and enjoys the cozy feeling of George's freshly cleaned room.